Shabbat Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh. Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone for teaching us His truth. Salutations to the sincere Akim and Ak with that may listen. May the blessing of election be over your house. My name is Brother Okwai. I'm back in here with another quick lesson. And for today's lesson is going to be a little of a Day of Atonement lesson. I've just been meditating on for the past, couple hours. And the title, it says Musing upon Spiritual Things, right? So what inspired this lesson, coupled with it was listen to some of the apostles and elders lesson. They were talking about music, and a lot of the music that is manufactured today, it's geared towards steering our people away from Yahweh Bashem Yahushai and leading them towards Satan, right? And what I wanted to do is kind of in this particular day, we because we tend to abstain away from food and water and a bunch of carnal things, work if you can, and focus on actually feeding our spirits. I just wanted to bring that point out. I just thought it was very, very interesting, because the Babylon the Great, especially in America, is always it's the type of environment that encourages feeding the flesh rather than feeding the spirit, which is why this day is very, very important, not just for your spiritual health, but also for your actual body health, right? I know the scriptures do say bodily, I think it's in Timothy's, where it says essentially this body exercise profiteth little, right? But it still goes a long way, right? And that's one of the best and important purposes of fasting, right? So without further ado, before I ramble on too much, I just want to get the word muse and what the word muse means, right? So this, Yahweh Ratazah, this would be very edifying for you brothers and sisters that may listen, right? So so in the etymology here, it says the word muse. Now, what does it mean? It means to reflect, ponder, meditate, to be absorbed in thought, to ponder, dream, wander, loiter, waste time. Let's go on. To stand with one's nose in the air. Okay, so essentially it's you're put in a state of reflection, right? So because this day, because we abstain from all these like food and drink and all that stuff, it forces, your mind tends to wander, right? And the beneficial thing for us is to be also wondering upon spiritual things, things that can be purged out of our system, right? So we can be more pleasing, bride towards Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, right? So yeah, the rest of it, okay, so yeah, it goes into the word music. That's where you get the word music from, but then eventually it goes into some idolatry stuff. So so first I have on the list here, let's get Psalms 119. And what is a healthy way for our minds to actually, be music upon, right? Okay, this is Psalms chapter 119, verse 141, and it reads, I am small and despised, and yet I do not forget thy precepts. Thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and thy law is the truth. Verse 143, and it reads, trouble and anguish have taken hold on me, yet thy commandments are thy delights, right? And that is the thing that is that makes us upright. That is the thing that we want to be able to muse upon, right? Because 2/3 of our people, they see the commandments as very burdensome, And the scriptures say that thy commandments are not grievous, right? If you love me, keep my commandments. And these are the things that they don't muse upon. They muse upon, or reflect upon, these carnal things, And if you really look at how the enemy Esau actually targets our people, during the C-19, so and so, that demic, right? One of the things that they target were those businesses and those establishments that cause our people to essentially feed our flesh, right? So, for example, clubs, restaurants, things that are that cause our people's minds to muse upon things that just would distract them from their daily nonsense, right? From their lives, essentially, right? Rather than actually, especially for us Israelites, Israelites, especially in the world, they muse upon all these carnal things rather than the spiritual things and actually drawing nigh to the Most High, so yeah, that's one of the reasons I just I wanted to bring that out, because I thought it was very, very it's very interesting. People don't have this sort of mindset. They have a very, as a matter of fact, hang on. As a matter of fact, since I'm actually speaking on, when you go into the word fun in the etymology, it actually says diversion, amusement, where you get the word muse, mirthful sport, right? So, it's something that our people, they've completely have mastered this technique, right? And, they, they don't, the scriptures say, they honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me, right? So let's get to Wisdom of Solomon. Okay, this is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 9, verse 14, and it reads, "For the thoughts of mortal men are miserable, and our devices are but uncertain. For the corruptible body presseth down the soul, and the earthly tabernacle weigheth down the mind, that museth upon many things." And one of the reasons I wanted to bring this out, because with this tabernacle, this earthly tabernacle that the scriptures is talking about, it muses upon all these different things that actually is supposed to gear and feed towards our flesh, especially this environment. Babylon is not the type of environment, aka America and in the West, it's not the type of environment that's actually enriches your spirit, enriches the flesh, right? The wages of sin is death, right? So, I'll read that again, and it says, "For the corruptible body presseth down the soul, and the earthly tabernacle weigheth down the mind, that museth upon many things." And this is the sort of mindset that our people, especially in the world, they museth upon, all these different things that are that's just going to feed their flesh, let's like, how can I get that guy's girlfriend? How could I smoke some crack? And a bunch of shallow nonsense, complete garbage, right? That's not actually trying to improve you as an individual. You know what I'm saying? So that's one of the things I just I wanted to grab quickly. And because we're on the topic of musing and reflecting, and I just wanted to bring out a quick example of of someone in our history that was musing upon those carnal things, right? Just to show that that which is then is now, and there's no new thing under the sun, right? So I'm gonna jump into the BLB, right? Just bear with me. Okay, so this topic is dealing with grape, right? So I just wanted to put that out there. But this is a situation between Amnon and Tamar. And if you don't know who these characters are, these are the children of King David, right? So this is 2 Samuel chapter 13. I want to start at 10, right? Okay. I'm going to read it in the NLT, so just bear with me on this. And it reads, Then he said to Tamar, Now bring me the food into my bedroom and feed it to me here. So Tamar took his favorite dish to him. Verse 11. But Salakia brothers. Okay. Okay, Salakia on that. Okay, I want to read verse 10 again. And it reads, And then said to Tamar, Now bring the food into my bedroom and feed it to me here. So Tamar took his favorite dish to him. Verse 11. But as she was feeding him, he grabbed her and demanded, Come to bed with me, my darling sister. No, my brother, she cried. Don't be foolish. Don't do this to me. Such wicked things aren't done in Israel. Right? So, she was in her right mind, but, he was musing upon, actually trying to, sleep with his sister. Right? And verse 13, and it reads, Where could I go in my shame? And you would be called one of the greatest fools in Israel. Please just speak to the king about it, and he will let you marry me. So she was actually trying to be kind of reasonable, even though this is against the law, right? Verse 14, and it reads, But Amnon wouldn't listen to her, and since he was stronger than she was, he raped her, right? Verse 15, and it reads, Then suddenly Amnon's love turned to hate, and he hated her even more than he loved her. Get out of here, he snarled at her, right? So this is a situation between Amnon and Tamar, who were the children of David, right? So Amnon was having this overbearing feeling of lust towards his sister, and eventually he decided, okay, I'm just going to take her, right? And so he did, right? So and one of the reasons I wanted to bring this out was to show the contrast in the mind of a man who was musing upon things that were carnal, as opposed to things that were spiritual, right? So, when you read above, it reads up here, it says, now David's son Absalom had a beautiful sister named Tamar, and Amnon, her half brother, fell desperately in love with her, right? So, this is a situation, right? And this sort of account was it was very interesting, to show that contrast between the kind of men who are musing upon those carnal things, us, and that is an example of those men in the world who are musing upon these carnal, fleshly things in the world, versus men, the elect who are musing upon those spiritual things, right? Spiritual riches in heaven, essentially, right? So that's one of the reasons hopefully Yahweh Ratazah, that makes completely sense. With the issue of grape, I can go into that in another lesson, but which you can find in Deuteronomy 22, if I'm not mistaken. But to stay on topic for this lesson, I'm gonna grab one more, and can call it a day. Okay, so this is Tobit chapter 12, verse 8, and it reads, "Prayer is good with fasting and alms and righteousness," right? And the greatest alms we have is, sharing this knowledge, preaching this knowledge and this word, unto our people, because scriptures say that how can a young man cleanse his way by cleaving unto this word, to roughly paraphrase, right? Also, it is good to still, give alms whenever you can, but, the greatest alms is actually this word, right? Further on, it reads, "A little righteousness is better than much with unrighteousness. It is better to give alms than Salakia. It is better to give alms than to lay up gold," right? And that is the mentality of a lot of our people, because I'm surrounded by a lot of people who are trying to establish their so-called black-owned businesses and so on and so forth, and they think that is for them laying up treasures in heaven, right? Actually trying, as opposed to trying to get closer to the Lord. Verse 9, and it reads, "For alms doth deliver from death, and purge away all sin. Those that exercise alms and righteousness shall be filled with life," right? So this is a very good practice, right? It says alms shall deliver from death, right? So and Yahweh Ratazah, when Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai brings his judgment, that he remembers mercy upon us, right? So anyways, I'll call it a day. Yahweh Ratazah, this video has been edifying to you few brothers and sincere sisters that may listen. Scriptures say that freely have received, freely give, right? So I just like to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakah Kadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone for teaching us this truth. Till next time, I say Shalom.